Welcome back to Northern Tales, where powerful stories of women from northern Nigeria come alive. In part two of our story, her name is Nadia, not Barren. Nadia walked away from the ruins of her marriage only to face the final betrayal. She found a new wife when she came home to Farouk, but sometimes endings are just the beginning. Nadia and Rahila left the house without a word. The air outside was thick and dry, the kind that pressed against your skin and refused to move. Neither of them spoke, not in the car, not when the gate creaked shut behind them. Rahila's hands were steady on the steering wheel, but her mind wasn't. How much can a woman endure? She thought. And how many times must we pretend to be strong before strength becomes another kind of prison? Beside her, Nadia sat silently, eyes fixed on nothing, only the reflection of streetlights flickering across the car window. Her chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything that once made her whole. Maybe this is what it means to die while still breathing, she thought. They drove through the quiet Katsina streets until Rahila finally stopped at a small hotel on the outskirts. Nothing fancy, just clean, quiet, with curtains that could hide a woman's pain. After dinner, Rahila sat on the edge of the bed, her voice calm but aged with fatigue. Nadia, she began softly. You have to decide what you want to do next. Because Baba, he won't stop asking questions. Nadia looked up slowly, her eyes swollen from tears. Rahila continued. Even if you go back to home to Mina, as long as you're still married to Farouk, Baba will send someone to bring you back. That's how he is. Nadia's lips trembled. She pressed her face into her palms, voice breaking. I don't want to go back, Rahila. I can't. I have no money, nowhere to start. Rahila sighed deeply. What about your job? Can you go back to the school? Nadia nodded weakly. They paid me only 70,000 naira a month. And from that, I still had to buy things for the house. She let out a shaky laugh, bitter, tired. Can you believe it? Sometimes when Farouk's mother hosts her monthly meals, I used my own money to buy the groceries, even the meat. Rahila's eyes widened, disbelief mixing with anger. You mean you were paying to feed the people who mocked you? Nadia looked away, ashamed. I just wanted peace. I didn't want more fights. Rahila shook her head, slowly, voice hard now. Nadia, you're not weak. You have just been taught to survive on crumbs and call it peace, but no more of that. She leaned closer, her tone sharp but full of care. So how much do you have now? Nadia blinked, embarrassed. Nothing. I left with nothing. Rahila stared at her for a long time, then exhaled through her teeth. My God, Nadia. Nothing. Zero. Nadia nodded, eyes glistening. Rahila sank into the chair, shaking her head slowly. For a while, neither of them spoke. The ceiling fan hummed softly, filling the space with silence. Then Rahila said quietly, All right, tomorrow we'll figure it out. Nadia looked at her sister, really looked at her for the first time that night. She saw something stronger than pity in Rahila's eyes. She saw belief. And that was the first spark of hope she had felt in a long, long time. The room was dim now. Only the bedside lamp glowed, throwing a soft circle of light between them. Rahila sat cross-legged, her expression unreadable. Nadia wiped her face with the edge of her scarf, exhausted from crying. For a long, long time, Rahila said nothing. Then she spoke, her voice low, like someone remembering a story she had buried too deep for too long. You know, Nadia, when I got married, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. My husband had a stable job, he was charming. Everyone said I have done well. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. But by the third month, I knew something was wrong. He will disappear for days, sometimes weeks. Lies, excuses. I started smelling perfume on him that wasn't mine. Her voice cracked, but she steadied it. I ran away 5 times in that first year of marriage. 5 times, Nadia. Each time Baba will be angry, not for what I had been through, but because I dared to leave. Nadia looked up, eyes wide. Rahila's tone was calm, but her voice trembled with old wounds. He would say a woman's strength is in her patience. Be patient, Rahila. Every marriage has storms. She laughed bitterly. Patience, 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 as if patience could make a man faithful. She leaned back against the headboard. What hurt most wasn't my husband's betrayal. It was Baba's deafness. He never listened without defending the man. He thought more like a man than a father. Nadia felt her throat tighten. So what did you do? Rahila's eyes darkened. After the fifth time, I stopped running. I decided if no one would save me, I would save myself. She exhaled slow and heavy. My husband still cheats. He spends his money on women half his age. But I pay the children's school fees. I buy the food. I fix the generator. Everything. She looked away, blinking fast. I stay because of them, Nadia. Because if I leave, he will fight for the children and he will win. The law, the culture, everything is on his side. So I stay. Her voice fell to a whisper. But some days I feel like a ghost in my own life, empty, lost, like I'm watching another woman live the life that was supposed to be mine. The silence was thick and fragile. Even the hum of the fan seemed softer. Rahila turned to her sister and gave a sad smile. Look at the irony of life, Nadia. You are trapped in a marriage that wants children, and I'm trapped in one because of children. Nadia's tears came again, quiet and slow. Rahila reached out and took her hand. Listen to me, she said gently but firmly. Go back to your life, your own life. Return to the school. Take back your job. Maybe even find extra lessons to teach. And more. But never, and I mean never, spend one kobo again on any man's household. Nadia shook her head helplessly. I can't, Rahila. I can't go back there. I can't face them. Rahila's eyes hardened. You must. Running doesn't fix anything. You have to grow up, Nadia. Handle your problems. Nobody is coming to save you. Her tone was sharp, but her grip on Nadia's hand didn't loosen. Tomorrow, I'll take you back to the house myself. I'll stay for a few days. Then I'll talk to Farouk calmly. Whatever happens after that is up to you. Nadia buried her face on her lap, sobbing quietly. The sound was small, like something breaking far away. Rahila sat beside her, eyes glistening, but she didn't move because she knew sometimes love isn't comfort. Sometimes it's the push that hurts but saves. And in that small hotel room, two sisters sat in silence. Early the next morning, the sisters packed in silence. The road back to the house stretched long and heavy. The road both of them dreaded, but knew had to be taken. When they arrived, the compound was already alive with the sound of spoons clinking and voices murmuring. Farouk, his mother, and the new wife, Hadiza, were seated at the dining table. The smell of fried eggs and tea filled the air, but the warmth stopped there. Farouk's mother looked up, first her eyes narrowing. Well, well, she said with a smile that wasn't a smile. I thought you had gone for good, but see how stubborn women can be. She tore a piece of bread and dipped it in her tea. Maybe you forgot something. Your pride, perhaps? Nadia's hands trembled, but Rahila's voice cut through the tension. Assalamu alaikum, she said evenly. We need to talk to Farouk. Farouk looked up briefly, his expression unreadable. About what? In private, Rahila replied. His mother laughed loudly. Private? In this house? What's there to hide, eh? Is it about this Barren girl? Speak here. We all know the story. Hadiza's eyes darted nervously between them, unsure where to look. Rahila's jaw tightened. Very well, she said, turning fully toward Farouk. If you insist, then we will speak here. She took a deep breath, her voice calm but firm, the kind that filled the room without needing to rise. Farouk, as a Muslim man, you know Allah has placed great responsibility upon you. A wife is not a servant, not a burden, not an object to be mocked because her womb has stayed silent. She is a trust, and on the day of judgment, you will be questioned about how you kept that trust. Farouk shifted uncomfortably, lowering his eyes for the first time. Rahila continued, I'm not here to beg, nor to cause a scene. I only want to ask, have you divorced my sister? He looked away. No, he muttered. Then Rahila said, voice steady, her room still belongs to her. Her rights still stand. You can't lock her out like a stranger. Farouk's mother scoffed. Room? Which room? He locked it, yes, to keep her bad spirit from spreading. Rahila turned to her sharply. Fear Allah, Mama. This is someone's daughter, someone's wife. You can't throw cruelty around like it's wheat. Then she turned back to Farouk, her eyes piercing. If you have no love for her, if you have already chosen another path, then do the honorable thing. Divorce her and let her go in peace. Don't keep her chained to a name that no longer carries kindness. The room went silent. Farouk's mother muttered under her breath. He won't. This girl has tied his destiny with witchcraft. Otherwise, why can't he let her go? Farouk shot her a warning glance. Haba mama. But the words hung there anyway, sharp, heavy, humiliating. Nadia stood quietly, her eyes fixed on the floor, her whole body trembling from the storm of it all. Rahila took her hand and whispered, hold your head up. When no one spoke again, Rahila turned to Farouk one last time. Remember, she said softly, operation has no blessing. If you fear Allah, treat her with justice, or to release her with dignity. With that, she guided Nadia toward the corridor. Farouk said nothing. The mother chuckled, her tongue, her tongue jetting out, muttering something about ungrateful daughters, and went back to her tea. That evening, Nadia unpacked her small bag in the room that once held her dreams. The air smelled of dust and loneliness. The lock had been changed, but the memories were intact. Every corner still whispered of laughter that once lived there. 2 days later, Rahila prepared to leave. They hugged in the doorway, the morning sun spilling across their faces. Neither of them spoke at first. They didn't need to. When they finally pulled apart, both were crying, quietly, helplessly, the way people cry when something inside them has died, but they still have to keep living. Take care of yourself, Rahila whispered. Nadia nodded, voice trembling. You too. As Rahila's car drove away, the doors rose behind her, soft, golden, and fleeting, and Nadia stood there in the doorway, feeling like the world had emptied again. Except this time, she didn't collapse. She simply closed the door and whispered to herself, Ya Allah, teach me how to begin again. This is Northern Tales, where silence is broken and every woman's story finds its way back to her own voice. In this chapter, no Nadia faced what no woman should face: betrayal disguised as peace, and a family that measured her worth by her womb. But through Rahila's truth, she learned that even pain can be a teacher, and sometimes the only way to survive is to stand quietly and refuse to fall again. But what happens next? Now that Nadia is back under the same roof with Farouk, his mother, and the new wife, what will become of the fragile peace in that house? Will Nadia find her strength or lose herself once again? Join us in part 4 of Northern Tales. Her name is Nadia, not Barren. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a moment when silence breaks and truth finds its echo.